for this day of creation. And we give thanks for the miracle of the digital fire, the warmth of the digital fire and the digital connection that allows us to be together in this way. I give thanks for my words and for the breath that moves through my body and gives me life. I give thanks for the tones of the strings reverberating against the wood and the zeros and the ones that come to life, to bring this sound and these images of light to you. I give thanks for my brother Julien and brother in sound and in rhythm and in love and harmony. And I invite you to join us in this simple gratitude practice over this loop. And I'm going to invite Julien to just speak from his heart and give his thanks for whatever is on his mind and heart. And then we're going to give you a chance to practice with us.
Awesome. I want to I want to send thanks for having the opportunity to sit and have a moment and stop and give thanks. Not many people out there have that opportunity to feel safe and comfortable, and they're constantly responding to external stimuli, things that are going on. And so I'm grateful for the moments where I can give thanks. I'm grateful for today. I think it's the equinox. Is that today? When the day and the night are 50-50 and they're sharing equal balance. I'm grateful for balance. I'm grateful for the moments of awareness where I can hit the reset button and get back to my place of stillness, of balance. And so tonight, I'm grateful for my brother, my friend, new friend, but it feels like a long-time connection. Marcus, for joining me tonight and just sharing his gifts with me, but also with our community. I think I feel complete with that.
Beautiful. So if you're out there listening, blessings and greetings to you. And we invite you to just, let those words begin to flow, just like Julien and I did. And we'll take a moment to give voice to your gratitude, to anything you're feeling grateful for. Yeah, Julien, it was beautiful. I saw you picked up your flute there, and wouldn't it have just been a beautiful moment for all the sounds to start building in, and you can feel the slow build of the music, right? Yeah.
It was in the wrong key.
Damn it!
But I'm still grateful for that little ukulele infinite loop.
Yeah, totally.
I'm grateful for rhythm. When I listen to your loop and when I listen to the uke kind of stepping into a pattern, when we were getting set up, for those of you who are just joining in, Marcus was kind of setting things up and looping things, and he was saying things. He was just saying, "Oh, I think I need a little bit more of this, or this might work a little bit better," and it was kind of throwing itself into that rhythm, and it would just repeat itself, and we became part of the song. And I'm curious. My question to you, Marcus, is what sort of repetitive rhythms are you incorporating in your life that are becoming part of your song?
Oh, Dang, just right off the top like that. Hey, that's a really great question, Julian. Oh, what rhythms am I incorporating? Repetitive rhythms am I incorporating? Well, I think there's ones that I'm unconscious of, just like this. Like the little the little
Nice.
corrections, the little neuroticisms,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The little frustrations and the or sometimes we just fix our hat real quickly or or pull and
I
there's
do
this
this all the time.
yeah. There's those for sure. And then I think there is I mean this is such a powerful question because what it makes me think of are the ancestral songs and dances. And you know that when you hear a particular rhythm or song from a culture, it's so distinct. It's not just it's the tone of the instruments, it's the timbre, it's the cadence of the and it's very characteristic, just like you could recognize the color brown from blue. And I guess I'm saying that because there's so much context, and in my own life I've been trying to find that rhythm of my of my own identity, of my own culture, swimming in a soup of multiculturalism. And so I think some of the rhythms that I've been practicing, here's the first one that comes to mind, after kind of giving you a long answer, is there's this movement kind of in the practice of qigong, and it's like this opening like this. And yeah, that's right. You're kind of coming up to your central channel, and then your hands are just, and this feeling of the falling down is, it's like a natural rhythm, if that makes sense.
Do you
Yeah.
tie it into the breath?
Yeah, kind of. Let's do this. This is a bit differently. Why don't we go like this? We'll take your hands like this,
Yeah.
and you kind of just rest it down near your belly button or your dantian. And you're kind of breathing in, and then you're just, this is called two hands push, holding up the sky. So like this. And then you're just letting your hands come down naturally. There's just this kind of grace. You're hitting the wall there. Yeah. Yeah, let's try it a couple times. Feel free to do with us if you're out there listening.
I'm
It's
gonna
called
switch. I'm gonna go like this.
two hands holding up the sky. And your breath should just naturally kind of fall along. Yeah. And
See, I don't.
there's
Are we in sync? I don't even know. I couldn't see you. So, or does
yeah,
it
yeah.
matter that we're doing it together?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think more importantly that you find your own rhythm. But I think to answer your question is that what has been helping my own life, and it's been like, you said this really important thing where you're like, it's so rare that we're even able to stop, because there's a greater rhythm that's propelling us forward. And for many of us, it's the hustle, it's the rhythm, the machine, of this like go,
Abs-
go, 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 go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's been more so than ever now in my life that I'm like part of that rhythm, and I'm able to appreciate these other tools that I have when I wasn't hustling so hard. And so this kind of simple motion is like this falling of the hands. It's like this. It's the best way I can describe it is that it's a natural rhythm. You know what I mean? Let me just be a little bit long-winded and give you a contrast, because that's how we learn. Another rhythm is the rhythm where we're on our computers and we're clicking, 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 dragging windows, clicking, and then you're like, your mouse is running out of wires, you grab it even harder, and you like, it's like this, it's tension winding up, winding up. And it's like, it's the rhythm of click, click, click. And if you don't get what you're clicking for, if the page is missing, then you're frustrated, you're upset, you're like, why is it going so slow? That's a kind of a rhythm. And this other rhythm that I'm talking about, again, long-winded answer, I find that when I'm able to attune to those natural cycles, that are harder to come across now, but they're still there in our ancient practices and our contemporary practices. It helps me. It helps me. It helps me. My whole energy changes. Right.
Amazing. I'm so pumped that we're having this conversation.
Me too.
So, Marcus, could you give us like a little bit of an introduction to yourself? Like, you just took you took ancient wisdom, modern day multiculturalism, rhythmic movement, and self-care and like almost like a spirituality to it. You put that all together, and then you shook it all in a box and you gave us this little piece of wisdom. Who are you, and how did you come to be Marcus? Like what where have you been all my life, man? Seriously.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling the love too.
Yeah, man. Like,
I'm
but
feeling the love,
seriously,
really.
how? Tell me your story. How did you get to where
Oh
you're at today,
man.
if you can?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure like you and maybe anyone else who's listening, it's like there's stories nested within stories, nested within stories,
absolutely.
and I definitely get long-winded. Sometimes I joke around. There's like the talks too much ancestor. He's always talking too much. And there's other part of me that really loves essence. Really goes, let's get simple. And so let me see if I can bring some of the wisdom that sometimes it doesn't isn't it's not quite ripe yet. Our knowledge is still like you're just regurgitating it. But I heard something that really helped me because if you're out there and Julian, you might relate to this too. Sometimes it feels like your story's too hard to explain. It's too many things. It's too many layers. And I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you guys know Gary V, but he's this big social media guy, entrepreneur, and he says the only stories that I've ever paid attention to or that I've ever been interested in are the ones that tie all human beings together. And I was just like, aha, it's not the details of my story that are as important, but it's the ones that, I mean, they are important, you know what I mean? Because if I don't tell them, no one can tell my story except for me. But if I, but if I, but sometimes I have to learn to just tell the essence of it. So this is what I'm trying to do. Who am I? I've been on a journey, I've been on a journey of waking up to who I am, of waking up to oh the world and the culture that we're swimming in. I'm waking up to the incredible phenomenon and potential of our creative power, our expressive, like our intention, and I'm also waking up to the great sorrow of these times, of the incredible amount of stress on the planet, um, oppression and cultural genocide, racism, violence. I mean, just to name a few things, right? So who am
Hmm.
I? I'm somebody who has, experienced many versions of myself and coming to trying to understand, like, is there an instruction manual for this
Right.
life, right?
Absolutely.
And so, in part of that journey, I've come to I've come, through those trials and tribulations. I've come to know music and some of those folk arts, as a precious thing. Because one of the things that I've been looking for is like, what are the things that we can use to help connect all people together, tie people together? Is it laughter? Is it breath? Is it rhythm? Because even nowadays, people are getting very, very astringent about, what is cultural appropriation, and rightly so, but for me, I don't know, maybe I'm just a very old soul, but I'm like, what is the simplest thing that can bring us together? Is it sharing a story, sharing a glass of water, you know so
Wow. Um. Awesome. I feel like and maybe you relate with this, but I feel like sometimes the answer to who are you or who are you becoming, right? You kind of
mm,
answered that.
mm,
That was a question that was asked to me in like a conversation, a podcast conversation. And I was like, oh, that's a really good question. But
mm,
it's I think a lot of people who are listening to you speak, it's like a process of getting to know yourself as you move further and further along the path, and just
mm,
kind of reacquainting yourself with things that sit well and
mm,
whatever else. But I also hear a
mm,
person who is of service, who likes to be of service to others, to
mm,
find this like universal
mm,
language or formula, recipe book to bring people
mm,
together and to break down some of those real traumas and the pains of community. So I look
mm.
behind you. You've got these puppets. You've got a drum. Is that a peacock? You got a little
Yeah,
peacock there.
rainbow bird, yeah, that's right.
and then you got a whiteboard.
Yeah.
So that's like an equation for I don't really know. So tell me about
Mm.
why the all of these different kinds of things. What's going on back there?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. First of all, Julian, thanks for your great big heart, man. Like, we're just getting to know each other,
Yeah,
but I sense this. The more I get to know you, I sense this ocean of genuine compassion and of care and of earnestness that I recognize in myself, and
absolutely.
it's very comforting.
Absolutely. And thanks for saying that because
Yeah.
I echo that. And thanks for saying that. For those of you tuning in, like this is a very new kind of digital. We've connected over, and maybe I'll tell the story of how I come to learn about you a little bit later. But you're welcome, and thanks for that kind compliment. I'll take it. Tell me
Uh,
about.
Hello, Julian. I'm Frog. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Frog.
Yes, nice to meet you too.
So these puppets, I've been collecting them for years and years. I mean, I spent about 12 years as an early childhood music educator, music and movement. I taught music, family, community music lessons for music together, and just and I was a drum circle facilitator as well, just like yourself, for about 12 years. And during that time, I'd always wanted to work with puppets. I think there's this kind of it's interesting. I noticed some people, when they pick up a puppet, there's a couple some people right away, they're like, I get two general responses. One's like suddenly, like, that true shyness
Yeah,
shines
yeah,
out. And
right.
then for me it's like,
What the hell are you looking at?
you know
it's
like,
it's all outward.
yeah.
I
It's
love
this
that.
it's this permission suddenly to just like say what's actually on your mind, right?
Yeah.
And so part of these puppets were part of a recent, this is the short of the long, the puppets were part of, during this COVID time, and I had a very recent sickness, and I just was like picking up the pieces of my life, and I'm like, what do I still have in my toolbox? Like, what am I good at? Like, I felt like I had nothing.
Right.
And I started pulling out these puppets that I almost gave away because I thought, well, I'm not going to use them.
Right.
And I just started creating with them, and I started using all the voices, and the voices became characters that, I mean, it was always there, but it gave me a way to create. I started creating these little snippets, like 1 minute, 2 minute, and I think that is a tremendous kind of satisfaction for someone who's totally lost, is just to create something and to say, hey, that is a beginning, a middle, and an end, you know.
Right. Yeah, so you used puppets to write songs, you used puppets to do little skits, you used puppets to send puppet grams.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I was like, and and as I was just getting to know Marcus Fung, I was like, who's this dude that like takes puppets and uses this playfulness to deliver a message of kindness and love and compassion in a confusing time
Mm,
and a traumatic time for many people out there who are in pain.
mm,
Um, you speak of this as I what I hear is almost like a piece of your healing process for yourself, and you don't need to
yeah,
go into too many details, but
yeah,
tell me about the importance of the healing process, using the healing process for yourself, but
yeah,
also what you did is
yeah.
you kind of almost shared it with the masses as you were doing that for yourself.
Yeah. That's great. Sure. So, and the essence of it is, I think that's right. Healing is a process, and not only that. Maybe it's a creative process, and there's something.
Whoa. Healing is a creative process. Write that shit down, man. That's
Yeah.
golden. Healing is a creative process. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. And it's funny because you asked me that 4 years ago. I had seen an ex-girlfriend in a coffee shop, and I was studying with this indigenous, First Nations medicine man, and she was like, "Healing is a creative process." I'm like, "That's not what we learned in class." And now I really come to it and be like, oh, I get it. It's a healing process. It's a creative act, and so um Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember. I just lost track of the
You
question,
know,
but
I
yeah,
think I
I think
think
that was.
the question is more so like, does sharing your gifts with others play a
Mm,
role in that healing process, or is it you've done your healing and then you can share your gifts, or do they happen
ooh,
together?
yeah. That's a really tricky one, man. I mean, I just think of the many people that I've met along the journey who they're just they're just not ready to share. They truly, um, you know, there's too much pressure, right? And for other people, I think there's a sense of excitement, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of like, I'm ready, even if I don't think I'm ready. But let me see if I can answer this in a kind of a slightly direct way. So there was a time during COVID, if you guys remember, everyone was going online, like everyone was going live. I don't remember
Right.
that, Julian.
Yeah,
Everyone was
absolutely.
going live, and I was sharing everything, even if I wasn't ready. It was everyone. I was getting real comfortable being messy. And I picked up my guitar one day, and I was singing this song. It was a beautiful song, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna grab my phone and share it." And something stopped me from sharing it, and I put it down, and I just saying to myself, and I realized some things need to like just stay with yourself. You know, some things are sacred in that way. They just need to stay with yourself.
You're awesome. I love that. And you know, I think for me, I can relate with both of those because absolutely, I think there's a healing component with being able to share your craft with somebody else, or
Mm,
me, maybe even for myself. One of the biggest healers for me is to be able to share my craft with somebody else, but also to facilitate the healing in someone else, so that we
mm,
can together
mm,
come grow stronger through the experience, whatever we co-create. So that's one thing. And I first learned that in my early days when I played music with my brother, and just played in bands and stuff like that. And that was the first time that I really tapped into like pretty much the healing power of creative expression. So at the same time, though, I can totally agree that sometimes uh, it's you don't it's I don't know how you said it when you picked up your guitar, but it's okay. It's actually, I don't know if it's better, but it's okay
yeah,
to
yeah,
um, almost close the blinds and have an intimate moment with yourself,
mm,
and say,
mm,
I'm not doing this for anyone else. And I think a
mm,
lot of times, like like you described, we were trying to share everything with everyone else, and all of a sudden
yeah,
we felt almost compelled to keep the curtains drawn open, and this is my life, and this is how I'm
mm,
handling it, and whatever. But I think
mm.
it's important to have that secret place of
Yeah,
healing, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah.
you
Totally.
can kind of go into the depths of
Mm,
you know, the the questions that have never been answered or asked, because there's too much noise going on around you. So you have to kind of find that silence in order to
mm.
to dig deeper.
Yeah. Can I add something to that, Julian?
Yeah, please.
You know, what you're sharing is giving me like, you know, it's a reflection for me, and I think like any good truth, I think what I'm discovering is that the opposite can be true. You know, like any good truth, and those seems to be the really good. You know, that seems to be what I constantly arrive at. And but in terms of this healing journey, I feel like there's a couple keys. One of them is that we seem to have a need to be witnessed. There, and in that be witnessing in our journey, and not only witnessing, but witnessing in community, being integrated in community. I'm thinking of the drum circles now, you
Right.
know, like that witnessing that sets something into motion to be like, I'm okay now, you know, or I'm a little more okay. And not only am I okay, I've been witnessed, you know, because I think I've tried to do a lot of healing in my own chamber on the healing table or in meditation or all these things.
Right.
And I think one of the ways that I'm inclined to work is, you know, needing to be witnessed in community, to be integrated into a community. Now, let me just say one more thing, which is this sometimes desire to overshare or to share when things are not ripened yet. I believe that comes from one of our other, you know, core human wounds, which I like to call it's the authentic longing for attention. you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
It's like, see me, like look at me, you know. Remember when you're a kid and you're like, look at me, mom, look at me, and your mom's like giving you all this attention, and then one day you're just like, I'm busy, right?
Right.
And it's like, I think I strategize for getting that attention in all kinds of ways because I'm still needing that attention, you know.
Mm.
I still need that loving, unconditional attention, and I really believe that we can design communities that um, that help us to meet that need.
Hmm. That facilitate that. Can you think of?
Yeah.
Can you give me a few examples of communities that facilitate that need? You mentioned the drumming circle.
Yeah,
Could be one of
yeah.
those. One of my favorite exercises in the community drum circle is you've got you've done multiple school programs and stuff like that. Have you ever had like one of the kids come in the middle and do a jump cut, to get everyone to stop,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
get one of the kids to tell everybody
yeah,
to
yeah,
rumble,
yeah, 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 yeah,
or
yeah.
to bring the volume up, volume down. Now turn that around. Do a corporate drum circle with a bunch of lawyers or engineers and get the boss to come in and lead that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how there's either people that are like, no, 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 I'm never gonna do that. No, no, no. That's okay. You do your drumming
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna stand here and be real
yeah,
serious. Or there's people
yeah.
that really get in there and they just like they come alive. And that
Totally, yeah,
piece of themselves, like you
yeah.
said,
Mm-hmm.
of needing to be seen and needing to be validated and needing to be um, just have that unconditional attention.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Uh, some people might have been made to feel like that was not appropriate, but I think there's a place for it and there's a need for it, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
So, other than the drum circle, I've given you some time now to think.
Yeah. I'm thinking, I mean, there's definitely a lot. I'm think one community I'm thinking of is like, I mean, really any community that practices some basic circle work, you know, like
Right.
sitting in a circle and listening to each other, taking turns and listening. You know, there's a lot of authentic relating communities. They practice all these relational practices. Um, I don't want to. I'll tell you a little bit about the community that I'm kind of crafting and designing, but I feel like let me just see if I can come up with some other more because there's got to be more. Um,
Tell me,
I'm
are you thinking about the singing circles? Is that what you're saying?
Ooh, the singing circles are also really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm curious as to what my block is, you know, because
Right.
I should be able to like come up with like many
Bam,
many
bam,
many.
bam, bam,
So
bam.
I'm wondering what it is that I think there was something that I'm still, you know, how they say sometimes you know we create the thing that we think that is missing. You know, we're kind of driven by that place
Yeah.
sometimes, and I'm just wondering if that's true in this case.
Hey, food for thought. I love it.
Mm,
I love it.
yeah.
Cool. Do you feel complete with that, or do you have more to
Yeah,
add?
I feel complete with that. Yeah, yeah, I do.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah,
We'll come back if people have
yeah, yeah.
examples of communities or communities where they've maybe felt
Totally.
that need. I want to hear about them. Put
Type
some
it in.
comments. Type it in so
Yeah,
that we can
yeah,
share this. Because I
yeah.
think we need healthy places to be seen, to see
Mm-hmm.
others, and also be seen,
Totally.
and in a safe and supportive environment. And
Yeah,
I believe
yeah,
that. I believe that 100%.
yeah. It's just the basis of this kind of cultural repair, you know, that I feel like we're a bit deficient in generally.
Cultural repair. Is this something you coined yourself,
Uh,
or is this something that
it
you've heard?
definitely exists. I've heard it, and I've also started using that term, and people have described it as different ways. Some people talk about cultural repair, some people talk about regenerative culture. I'll just give you a quick definition of regenerative culture. Is actually what we're talking about. I think John Young uses this. He's from the Eight Shields Wilderness Awareness School, and he says regenerative culture is something like I consider myself a regenerative culture artist. And I love to tell other people that you are also a regenerative culture artist. So think in your life where you do this, you know, or where you already do this. So one is we help to nourish, repair, and strengthen or create opportunities for people to connect more deeply with who they truly are. Right?
Nice.
So that means in culture we go out to create those, make those opportunities more available, and we do the same, but we with connection with each other. You know, repair, strengthen, nourish, create opportunities to connect authentically with each other. And the third one is to, strengthen, nourish, repair, connect opportunities with the earth, or with the other than humans, the other than human world, which could be the trees, it could be the water, it could be the ancestors, it could be the devas, depending on how far your worldview goes. But, that's, helping to regenerate those connections, make them more available. And I think that's intrinsically kind of what happens in a drum circle, or any one of these any one of these community practices, is that kind of magic that people feel, and they start recognizing. I'm sure you've seen it a thousand times, and if you're out there, you can think about what, like, how do you know, like, people start smiling, people's body language starts shifting,
Yeah.
people laugh, and they start chit-chattering, right? And
Right.
it's like you can literally see the Wi-Fi signal get stronger between everybody.
Right.
It's just like,
Ooh, the Wi-Fi signal gets stronger between people. You see the bars go bloop, 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 bloop.
yeah, totally.
What is that Wi-Fi signal? Do you think that's connected to the heart, or is it just the general essence? And what would you say? What is the source of,
What
and
is the
how can
source of
how
that,
can we get a Wi-Fi booster
How
for
do we get a
ourselves?
Wi-Fi booster? I am such an advocate of the expressive arts for
Yeah.
a booster, right?
Cool.
You know what I mean? It's like dancing, singing,
Yeah.
laughing, playing, tossing a ball is really great too.
I love that, man. Those are Wi-Fi boosters. And they're acoustic. You don't need no digital,
That's right.
setup like this. They're acoustic. You can do it in the darkness. There's a power outage, and you can still have Wi-Fi. So there's our plug.
Totally.
Don't
Yeah.
cancel your TELUS account just yet,
Yeah.
because you haven't finished watching the podcast. So there you go. Hey, so the way that I learned about you, well, I learned about you through Judy Atkinson, who I think you were doing some drum circles with for some time, eh?
No, I don't think so. Me and Judy never met. I mean,
What?
I was probably one of the. I wasn't the first person doing drum circles in Edmonton, but I was one of the earlier ones for
So
sure.
so who did you take your training from?
I did my training with Tanya Schur, and
Cool.
she used to run Dramocracy. Tanya Schur is a Cree woman out of Red Deer,
Very cool.
and I think she trained with Judy Atkinson.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Very
that's
cool.
how I knew of Judy.
So she spoke very highly of you, almost like she knew you. So I mean,
Really? Oh,
you have
sweet.
yeah, absolutely. You have a great reputation amongst the circles of rhythmers, I suppose. So that's a good thing. So I heard about you, and I kind of knew that you were kind of occupying the space in Edmonton. And I think I don't know how it happened, but I think I found you on social media somehow, maybe during COVID. I don't really know. But then I got really interested in some of the things that you were doing, in terms of you were doing these short little clips of with yourself, and then with the puppets. And yeah, I think it was through Sebastian as well. He told me that he had a connection with you somehow, and also through the breathwork community. And they were telling me about some of the things that you were doing. I think with Trevor Yellick. Did you do some workshops with Trevor Yellick?
That's right. Yeah. I did.
And then you were kind of teaching people how to connect with their voice. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was doing this. I did this. I mean, I trained as a breathwork facilitator, but I also did the sound healing component for his training. Yeah.
So is your resume like super long? Like drum circle facilitator, child and adolescent educator, friggin' breathwork facilitator, singing circles, like what else? Like you've got it all.
Well,
I missed a bunch, but
Well, that's funny, man, Julian. Sometimes it could seem like that, and it might appear like that to other people, but
Yeah.
there's a genuine, sometimes like a longing, and maybe you get this too, right? Of like, you're looking for that thing that ties it all together. You're looking for that thing that is not a training, it's not a modality, it's just the entry point where you've been like questing for this something,
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like my resume is like worthless, if that makes sense, right? Like
yeah.
it feels like I haven't quite even totally found it yet,
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
so I think that's okay. Number one,
Thanks.
it's okay to feel that way. Just number one, I just want to put that out there.
Thank you.
And I think we can get down on ourselves, because those trainings, for those people who have taken these types of trainings, I think a lot of people who are listening can probably relate to what you're going through and what you've described, which is this questing, You've got this machete, and you're like, there's a thing over there, and I'm gonna go that direction, and I think that's the way. And you're just ching, and you're all scraped up, and you get there, and you get the healing, and you're like, that was really good. I'm gonna try this out. I'm gonna, try to build a camp here, and then you're like, shit, this isn't quite it. Maybe it's this way, and then ching, 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 and you keep going. You're heading down, and you haven't quite reached your destination. And my question to you is, honestly, if you were to just kind of take an honest and kind of let go of some of that disappointment of not reaching that yet, because I think part of that, I probably can't assume, but for me, when I have that feeling, I feel like it's almost that wanting it now kind of thing. I'm like instant gratification. I'm like, I just want to get it now, and I don't want to have to put in all of the work to become the person that I'm supposed to be. And oftentimes, when I go through that process, there's a transformation that happens that is necessary in order for me to move on to the next building block. So my question to you is, I guess number one, can you safely say that you took a piece of each one of these trainings and kind of put them in your backpack, and are they part of your building blocks of who you are today and where you're going?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they're cooking in there,
Yeah.
They're stewing up, and they're taking reshaping, and I've let go of a lot of things too, I mean, there's a time you're like trying to grabbing onto all these trainings, and I've given up. I've just said, you know what? I paid X amount of thousands of dollars for that. I think I have to let it go, you know?
Wow.
And so yes, absolutely. There's these blocks, and there's they're building blocks, but they're also threads, building blocks. You get the sense they just, come from nowhere, but the threads actually, they come from somewhere. They come from a tradition, they come from contemporary practices. They come from people who have been, get this is a beautiful analogy. So my friend shared this with me. He's like, so you go and you learn from people, and everyone gives you a flower, and they say, hey, smell this flower, and you're like, oh, what a beautiful flower. And you take that flower, and you go and you learn, and you learn, and you learn, all the flowers have their unique shape and fragrance and look, and then you realize you've gathered a bouquet of flowers. And then when you meet someone, like I'm meeting you right now, and I'm giving you my bouquet, right? Like I'm giving you, and you're like, whoa, what a cool bouquet. And you're giving me I don't even know that much about you, but it's like, we're in an expression. I'm an expression, and you're an expression. And out there, if you're listening, you're an expression of your life experiences, right? And here's the key. I don't think what I've really learned is that it's not that we need to take another training. Sometimes, yes, that's the answer. But it's like we need the kinds of trainings that help us to integrate everything we've ever learned. So it's not a new kind of learning. It's like the digesting and the metabolism of fully everything that you've, and then we enter into the field of what is true learning, What is true learning? And then I think something starts to change. That's kind of what I'm experiencing right now, and yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I love that integration. What is true learning? Interesting. I love it. So back to my story. I found out about you on social media. You do all sorts of different things, and then I came to a place where I got requested to do a workshop, a digital workshop, a conference. And I'm actually, as I talk, I'm going to pull it up, and we'll just hopefully play it a little bit. Oh, I don't know if I can, maybe if I share computer sound. Let's see if this works. So I'm going to play this right here. And so I asked, can you hear that?
Yeah, sounds really
Okay,
nice.
so I asked Marcus to, I'm going to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit loud.
Yeah. So I asked Marcus to create some soundscapes, because that's also what you do. You like Sebastian, who I had last week, you create these musical journeys where you incorporate all of your different kind of instrumentation, and you create a space. You use your music to create a space. Can you tell me, just with this playing in the background,
Yeah.
can you tell me about when I approached you and I said, hey, Marcus, I've got this workshop thing going on. I would love for you to create some sort of, backing track for me to play drumming, do a meditation over top, whatever. Can you tell me about that process and just describe that a little bit for me and for the people listening?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as someone who is, generally played instruments, had drums and collected flutes and rattles and percussions. I had a lot of instruments and they were like colors, they were like paint brushes. But coming to create something digitally was something I had to learn to embrace, and I actually had quite a bit of a resistance to. And so it began with, collecting, investing in a library of sounds that really are inspiring for you, and really it opened up a whole new world of not creating with, not limited by what I had in my possession, or what I could keep in my house. And slowly it was like I never identified myself as a composer, but I was like a musical painter, and I was
Absolutely.
using these textures, and you know and you're just looking for that sound and that feeling, and of course I had a relationship with it, like there's a frame drum playing here, and with the singing bowls, and you either like it or you don't, or you're like, that's the sound or it's not, it's like you're cooking, and you're cooking with these sounds and these colors, and you're just like, that's not it, and I can't say it was like my favorite process at first, because you're sitting, you're hunched over a computer, and you're
Right.
you're dragging, but slowly, like any process, you learn to get in the flow, and you get in
Yeah.
the flow, and it's like you're doing it real time, and you're learning to listen to every single detail. And at the heart of what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create music that doesn't pull your attention away and get lost in the music, but the music is vibrating with the natural frequency. Remember we talked about that nature in the beginning of the thing?
Yeah.
It's like, how do I use the tuning? How do I use the instruments and the timing and my feeling to create music that doesn't draw our attention away from the natural, from what's natural, And so it's like it's supporting um, that natural vibration.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I pulled out my flute, and let's see if it works. It's like when I get to play with something like that. Oh, here's the other track that's coming. I'm just gonna stop it real
That was
fast.
beautiful, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Really, really nice.
When I get to play with a little bit of a backing track, I don't feel so alone. One of the things that
Hmm.
I've really struggled with this pandemic and doing digital types of workshops is that I miss that interaction, and
Hmm.
I don't enjoy the performance aspect of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because for me, it's never been about being a performer. It's about creating a community connection, an experience where we can come
Mm,
together and experience
mm,
something together and create
mm,
something that is
mm.
better than what I could ever do on my own.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
you gave me that gift by creating those tracks. And that, when you describe that creative process, like the chef, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and the moving into that place of flow. Um, I mean, I think people should really try and check out your stuff, because I think I'll put a link to your SoundCloud, if that's cool,
Sure.
down in the thing. You call it higher calling music, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, a lot of times when we're kind of needing to move, and then I'm bringing a piece of both stories together. When we're trying to move into that place, that secret place that we talked about earlier, where we
Mm,
kind of need to close those shutters and just allow ourselves to not necessarily move into that performance piece where we need to be seen by
mm,
all, but we just need to kind of
mm,
move into that inner space.
mm,
Sometimes um, having that accompaniment, right? Like I just
mm,
experienced right now, the
mm.
musical accompaniment through
Yeah.
musical creation, whether it be drumming or whatever, is super, super, super helpful. And I find that when I was listening to all of your tracks, most of your tracks, some of them have like a spoken meditation on it. Some of them, have other people speaking on it. Um, I found that that's what it gave me. It gave me that place to just kind of like, hey,
Mm,
hang on a second. I can create something and use your sounds as a launching pad into deepening my own experience. And that's legit. Like I mean that. I think I texted you once. I was like,
mm.
dude, I've listened to this track like 17 times on repeat. And it's like, and
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like people need to move away from this. Like a track is, or a song is not like a pop song where it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you do the thing and dance. It's like you can play that thing on repeat and you don't even know when the beginning and the middle and the end is. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. I had a little brain fart there. I think you were asking me a question, right?
Not really.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just kind of tooting your horn, to be honest.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. No, no, yeah, yeah, I got it, I got it. Yeah, that thing of like, it feels like, and that's really, I mean, Higher Calling Music was a project for to create backing tracks. I mean, the practical thing was it was to create backing tracks. I mean, it was a business, right? Creating backing tracks for coaches, healers, guides of transformation who needed royalty-free music to
Yeah,
for their resale products. But as I got deeper into the intent, I'm like, I don't want to just sell tracks. Like, it's so boring, right? I want to I realized I want to inspire people's like the gift that they have inside. So, some people would just take the spoken word and they would just slap it on top of the music, right? They would just on in their sound editor. I'm like, no, 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 no. You need to like speak over it. You need
right.
to like let the music carry you and touch your
Absolutely.
feelings, and there's something to be discovered in there. And so I'm really so when you say that, that's like a huge compliment and a huge affirmation that all that intent that goes into creating that is really like you know
Absolutely.
yeah,
So now, if I was a yoga facilitator or somebody who does meditation or a drum circle facilitator or whatever, I can get in touch with you, Marcus, and say, "Hey, I'm looking for these tracks that have that intention, that can be my launching pad." Is that your? Because you said
exactly
are you still doing that?
still doing just started actually.
Good, good.
Yeah, and on top of that, the real gift is also the joys to not only some people have some trepidation, they've thought about it, but the throat chakra, the throat is like it comes with a lot of baggage, right? And that's
Mm,
where so many of our gifts are expressed through us. And so part of the gift of what we do is not just the tracks, but it's like we give people an opportunity to dive into their to their vocal magic, is what I call it. It's the vocal empowerment and the language arts. It's the power of your creative word, and we access that by going into the flow state. And
mm,
you see freestyle rappers doing it. You see motivational speakers do it. But there's something that when you're playing that music is different from when we're talking. You know, it just takes our
Oh,
brain
yeah.
registers that, you know,
It changes the whole vibe.
it's the whole vibe. I'm like, man, we should be talking music all the time, right?
We should
Yeah.
have this in the background all the time.
Totally, totally. And
Right?
that's like, it's exactly. So, you know,
This is another one that you did. This is the rhythm. There's a piece on this one that so I was kind of introducing the class, using the rhythm, moving with it, you know, and the whole workshop was based on movement. And so it was very appropriate. I was like, I couldn't help myself but to move to this
totally,
thing,
me
right?
too. Look,
Right? It's just, oh.
this is it. This is the magic right here.
Right?
It's like the gift of music and rhythm, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I've been loving this conversation with you, Julien, but I'm like, man, we really need to get in the rhythm together.
It's hard over digital.
Yeah, totally.
And then I was playing this little kalimba. I'm on the not on the one. Let's try again. And then, what a fun little track, right? It gets really
Keep going, Julien.
With
I'm gonna
that?
see. I'm gonna do a recall and response. You
Okay.
you go a little bit. I'll go a little bit. Okay.
Sure.
Well, Baska la ta ma ya ya ba 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 da dum ba da dum da dum da dum boom boom boom. Oh yes,
Here
yes,
comes that stop.
yes.
So good.
So good, so good.
You know,
Oh, that was great.
It's fun that we can do this kind of call and response thing a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
It works.
It works, man. I'm feeling that I'm feeling that beyond just. It's more than just our words now.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like boom, boom. You know, so good.
Absolutely. So, is that your handpan, or was that a loop that you put on top of it?
I mean, I was playing it. It was just a.
Yeah.
It's a virtual instrument, though. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
And then speeding up, getting more exciting. I love that flute. Here it comes. Big finale. Nice.
Oh man, that was awesome. I felt like that was a gift from the gods right there, Julien. I was like, and I was like, you know, not to toot my own horn, but that track sounded pretty good. Like, just like
It's really good.
it felt really good, and the fact that it gave us here's what I think is an amazing thing, is that
Keep going, keep
rhythm,
going.
you know, rhythm and music itself gives us a language to communicate. You know what I mean? We were like looking for these words. I was enjoying the conversation a lot, and suddenly the rhythm and the language and the melody, like all it gives us a chance to communicate all of that nuance, that exists between us, right?
Absolutely.
That's so good.
It goes deeper than the language, the words. I think I talked about this with Sebastian, but like we only have the words to describe things. Like we are limited by the words that we've created to describe things. I feel like words have a limitation; they can only go so far. And until we create the word to describe the depth of that kind of creation between two people, I mean, you can only experience it and express it non-verbally without the words. This I put this first one on because there's a little surprise that comes in, and it just really feels good when it kicks in. So I'm just gonna keep this going for a little bit.
Cool.
And I'm gonna ask you: is there any kind of final thoughts or things that you'd like to do before we kind of conclude our time together? I'll take the track out, but let's just talk a little bit.
Yeah,
feel it
sure.
out. But what are you thinking? What do you want to share with us? What are some messages that you want to share with us?
Well, I mean, first of all, you can always definitely come check out what I'm up to. Send me a message. Julian's helping me remember like how fiercely I love the expressive arts. I think the real message, though, it's just, you're a music creator, I mean, sometimes when we find that perfect musical track that helps us to feel the way, that it's hard. But then when you hear that track, you're like, yes, that's the note, that's that place. But sometimes you don't hear that music, so you have to create that music. But don't let the technique be an inhibition. Don't be like, I don't have music lessons. I don't have the skill or the talent. In this day and age, there's so many creative possibilities now that you can like create beats, you can create loops, you can, it's just that you're a music creator, embrace the creator within yourself, whether you're, just our creative power is our creative resistance. It's our resilience,
Ooh.
However you do it, whether you make music or you paint or you play with puppets or you make funny sounds, just trust that inner calling is calling you and that you get this lifetime to explore it. It's never too late, It's never too late, You'll find people that will support you on that journey. I think that's my message.
Yes. Amazing. See how that ditch kind of got you to that next level?
Oh, yeah. I was like,
yeah, it's so good. I truly mean it though. Like when you say, when your music kind of helps influence the space, it really does. I think for anybody who wants to like kind of play around with what we're talking about, just find a piece of music, check out Higher Calling Music, go to the SoundCloud, put it in the background. If you have like maybe a talk that you want to practice, maybe you're doing a presentation, maybe you are somebody who is not much of a public speaker, but you have something really important to share, and you just want to be able to kind of work on that verbal fluidity. Verbal fluidity. Having music in the background, I find, is a really beautiful way to help bring emotion into the words. And when you were getting in there and talking about using your gifts and finding that artistic expression, in the process of that, you can feel that it's almost like you're not necessarily, it's all of those strings that you talked about, right? That you're pulling from all of these different places, from all of your trainings. and they're finally you're connecting to all of those at once and kind of using that and to emote something that is bigger than yourself through your words, and sharing something that isn't necessarily it's not Julien speaking anymore, it's not Marcus speaking anymore, it's you're moving through and you're creating something that has been shaped for you, and you're just moving your mouth, allowing it to come out, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
You become an instrument.
Yeah.
You become an instrument, and you let the music play you. You know, I mean, that's the truth.
Love
Like
it, man.
it's a miracle, and you know it's a worthy of devoting your whole life to. But don't worry if you don't have your whole life to do it. I mean, I think this is the beauty of what we do, Julien, and why we do it is because we know that it's not reserved for like the elite or the ultra talented or the divinely talented. It's like we can't help but bring it to the people, you know, whether it be through the drumming or through the sound play that we do. You know, that it's just those the arts belong to the people, you know, and it's
Yeah.
easy to forget that in this day and age where if they're not as valued, right? What we value are like the celebrities and the performers and you know like the ultra talented, right? But I don't believe in that, you know. I appreciate it for sure, but so
And to build on that, we kind of had a little bit of a conversation about how we've been just kind of keeping, you know, we're doing recordings, you know, everything's so polished these days, and how you and I kind of related in being like okay with how it doesn't need to be polished. It's actually better when it's not polished, when it's kind of like a little bit, you know,
a little messy.
Little messy, because life's messy. I'm a little messy.
Totally, totally, man. Here's the thing: like the recording industry, it's like when you realize how much processing goes into the sounds that you're accustomed to.
Right.
It's like the same as like processed food, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and when you hear a raw unplugged recording, it's like, yeah, that's how music actually sounds like when it goes right into the microphone, you know. And it's like eat whole foods, you know, like eat unprocessed music, and it's good for you.
I love it. Hey, do you want to leave us with a little piece of music? We started with the gratitude piece. I don't know. Do you have anything that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. You know, why don't we do? I want to promote Village Voices because it's everything that you're talking about. You know, higher calling music is the thing that you know that's a business for people who are like trying to you know record recordings, but you don't have to. You can still get the power of that. You can get the juice even if you're not doing that. And part of that's what I want to promote is this. That's what I've been up to lately, and you know it's called Ebb and Flow Village Voices. So why don't we, Julien? Why don't I create a little loop and then let's flow over together, okay?
I love it, man. You take it away. I'll follow your lead.
Let me see if I can create a little something here. See if this works. Let's leave it at that. That loop's not perfect, but so with just that little bit of music to give us a little bit of wings beneath our wings, I'm going to invite us to get into that vocal flow state. And Julien, let's start off first. We're going to help warm up our listeners, and we're just going to use a little bit of sound play. I want you to imagine you're playing with a clay ball of sound. So you'll be like, Shay, May, Way, Fay, Slay, Nay, Nay, K. Yeah, I'll pass it off to you.
Do I keep with that sound A?
You can, yeah, you can keep the sound A, or you can jump to the next sound, you know.
Okay. I've never done this before. I'm excited. Sway, flay, shay, may, ray, hey, okay. Oh, yay, yay, yay!
Yeah, ba, shala, kana, sama, papa, pawaya, wa, kana, kakaya, wa.
Yeah. Hey, yamasa, ya, maka, fala, na, ra, talaka. Yeah.
Great, let's leave a space for our listeners to try. Okay, you guys try. Yeah, beautiful. Now, Julie, now we're gonna add one thing. We're gonna add the world of sound and just pure rhythm and sound and energy with the words of the world of our language. Okay, so watch this. Basanakata banana. Ku shulu uyu my kneecap. And you're just gonna listen for when that word comes, okay? Bam ba dum bam bam, my belly button. Danka ding gang shang, the moon in the sky. Give it a try.
Rub-a-dub-dub. Thanks for the grub. Bing bang, chaka-laka-ling-lang. Playing the drum.
Yeah, you're doing good. Keep going just a little bit
All right,
longer.
keep it going. La pa kama shala fu. Microphone in front of you. Si como titapi. Look at the shaker in front of me.
Yes. So what naturally happens is we just, we're waking up our associative powers, and it's like how we just access all of that lifetime of vocabulary, of feeling, of experience, of imagery. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a little bit of beauty with it. We're kind of in the flow state. We've been warming up this whole hour, so we're going to finish off with a little piece. And Julien, what we're going to do is we're going to create a little, let me just listen for the right prompt. Yeah. Let's just do this, but let's start how we ended. We give thanks for this day. And then we're just going to let that, now we're in our flow, we're going to go into that space beyond just language, right? We give thanks for this day. And that part of me that's remembering how to play. Oh, what a great joy to have a friend who has some toys, drums and shakers and sound tools. Oh man, so many things to be grateful for. So many things buried away in the memories of my bones, of my hurts and my wounds. And so help me give sound to them in my tones and my groans and my moaning. And we give thanks for the rhythm and the rattle. Shake it up, the sound of the drum beating. Hear my voice, hear my heart's song. Give me the strength to sing my heart's song, to tell my life story. And if I don't have time, then help me be brief into the essence. Hear the cadence of my words. Hear the luscious space in between each note. Here we are together in this song. And as you bob your head and tap your feet, you acknowledge that thing that's been with you all along. You're not quite sure how it got here or how it came to be. But there's one thing I know for sure, is that it's meant to be shared. So thanks for being here with me and Julien. as this song begins to fade into the ancient silence.
Yeah. Nice. I love it, man.
Oh, that was fun, man. I mean, it was like messy, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's
That's
all
what we
about.
do, right?
That's what we do. A
Yeah.
little messy is a
Yeah,
little good.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So you said higher calling music, but it's also higher voices. What was it?
Village
Village
voices.
voices. Village
Village
voices.
voices. Yeah, yeah. I'll give you the links in there, Julian.
Please, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll put
yeah.
that in. And can people get involved through the village
Yeah,
voices?
it's
Yeah.
totally participatory. We've got storytelling, we have vocal magic, wordplay, and we've got all kinds of lots of cool things. It's just birthing, but at the heart of it is celebrating the gift of our voice and the magic that we can create with it. I'd love to come and do a demo for you guys sometime and show you the process, Julian. I think you'd really love it.
That's great. And how long do you need for something like
It's
that?
usually about an hour and 50
Nice.
minutes,
Great.
about an hour and a half. But
Yeah.
once you get going, it's like it's like it transforms the virtual experience into like something deeply juicy, right? And you're like you just want to be in it. Yeah.
I love that. Marcus, this has been a lot of fun, and we could probably keep going
Yeah,
all night long. We really could. But I think we'll call it here. And
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate you coming in and when you're speaking about gratitude and being able to create sounds and just allow ourselves to just create a space for each other and that playfulness and a place to maybe facilitate a little bit of reflection for ourselves, but also for hopefully others who are tuning in. I just I can't wait for the next chapter. I feel like this is chapter 1, and we've now put the dot on it, and let's turn the page and see what chapter 2 has to do. And if you need somebody to come and bring their own machete and help you kind of chop through,
Yeah,
you've got an ally. Okay, I'm here with you, and
feel that, man. I feel
applaud you, and I really look forward to seeing where you go and when you get there, and when you've gotten there. Please let me know so I can share it with the rest of the world as well. My small world, but yeah.
Oh man, thanks, brother. It's been a real joy, and I love your questioning, and I know sometimes, yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, you've got a beautiful gift. Yeah,
Cheers,
thank you.
man.
It's been an honor to be on the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much, buddy. Talk to you
Okay.
soon.